Hello faithful viewers, Sue Mnemonic here, and I'm here today to tell you about a fundraising literary project I'm involved in called the 1 Million Project. The aim of the 1 Million Project is to raise £1 million for charity. And how are we going to do this? By compiling anthologies of short stories. This is our first volume of short stories. The artists and writers involved come from all around the world. And the charities that we're going to be involved in support, campaigns all around the world. At the moment, we're involved with Emmaus, the homelessness charity, and also with Cancer Research UK. This anthology is available on Amazon. I'm going to put links down below. It's available on Kindle. And also I'm going to post links to our WordPress page, which gives you a sort of introduction to all the artists involved and the authors and other people involved as well. And yes, there's all sorts of short stories in here that you'll find something for everyone. There's sci-fi, fantasy, non-fiction. There's even a couple of TV scripts in here as well. But I'm going to read to you from my short story, which is called The Perfect Tree. It's a sort of a cross between Hans Christian Andersen and Greek mythology. So I'm just going to read you the first few pages to give you a sort of taste of what sort of stuff we're involved in. Okay, here we are, The Perfect Tree. Okay. Once long ago, when the ancient gods still held court atop Mount Olympus, and mankind had not long tamed the field and the beasts therein, there once stood a sacred pomegranate grove, honoured to Aphrodite, goddess of love, sprung from the blood of her slain mortal consort Adonis. Within this grove dwelled a nymph and a satyr, custodians of the trees. Their names are lost to time, but their story was not, and neither was their love. But their union was barren. The only fruit that flourished within that grove was upon the trees that they tended. Though they prayed to their patron goddess for children, Aphrodite was too busy pursuing her own lustful interests, either mourning the loss of one mortal lover or pursuing a new one, to heed the faithful couple. It fell to the goddess Demeter, the goddess of the harvest, to hear their plea. She promised them that a child would come to them if they took upon themselves the task she desired. The lovers agreed, but little did they know that Demeter's offer was not an act of charity, but an act of vengeance. For it was from this same orchard whence came the fateful fruit, whose ruby seeds, the consumption of which confined the goddess's beautiful daughter Persephone in the underworld, bringing winter into the mortal realm. In bitterness and anger for the loss of her own child, Demeter judged that the couple would never have issue until they had grown what all the gods of Olympus had judged to be the perfect tree. But the gods were capricious. Some demanded a tree with silver leaves, some with golden bark. Some demanded a tree that bore fruit, others demanded that which bore nuts. Others demanded a tree that had the sweetest blossoms. Some for a tree with needles as sharp as thorns. Not just among themselves were the gods so changeable. From day to day, each one would change his or her mind on what defined perfection. So the nymph and the satyr toiled. The grove became an orchard, the orchard a wood, and the wood became a mighty forest, stretching from the high eyries of the western mountains to the rivers of the eastern valleys, from the heat of the southern sands to the snow and frost of the northern wastes. And still the gods could not agree. The years passed. The lovers began to fall into despair. With each new tree that grew and was rejected, the love they bore each other began to wane. Doubt and discord entered their hearts. They began to quarrel over the slightest thing, and each day brought not hope, but distance between them. It came to pass one year, in the height of summer, Demeter looked down upon Olympus, upon the world of men, and rejoiced in what she saw. She marvelled how man had tamed the land in her honour, how ripe the wheat, how luscious grew the olive and the apple, how prodigious the flock. She felt a presence nearby and turned to see Lord Zeus, ruler of the gods of Olympus, standing beside her. "What see you, Lady Demeter?" "My Lord Zeus, what a wondrous sight is the industry of man! See how like the sea doth undulate the fields of wheat and barley. See how the fruit weighs heavily upon the boughs of the orchard. Is this not a sight for exultation?" Lord Zeus looked down upon the earth, and saw all that Demeter said was true, until his eye alighted upon the forest. "Lady Demeter, consider you not the forest? Where your fields are seas, is this not the ocean? Where only fruits grow in your orchards, what bounty hangs upon the boughs of these trees? What are the ears of corn compared to the greenest leaf? Where only cattle and sheep roam in the cultivated meadows, all manner of beast and fowl shelter beneath its broad canopy. All the toil of mankind is but little compared to the toil of two souls in love." Now Demeter was angered at this slight. Her pride wounded, she fled Olympus and descended beyond the lands of men, to the underworld realm of the dark god Hades. She found him sat upon his ebony throne, eyeing her slyly beneath his dark brows, and as if to mock her presence, he plucked a pomegranate from a cornucopia beside it, and rolled it idly between the palms of his hands. "My Lady Demeter, your presence here is a surprise to me. Does your daughter mourn the separation from her dear husband, that you would bring her home to me while the sun still bears its summer warmth upon the land of men?" His words dripped with sarcasm as poison drips from the fangs of the Hydra. "Persephone is not with me, Lord Hades, nor does she know of my visit to your hallowed halls." "Then why, gracious Demeter, would the goddess of life and fertility deign to visit me here in the land of death and decay?" "I wish from you a boon, my lord." Instead of answering her, Lord Hades took an iron knife and sliced into the ripe fruit, the scarlet juice flowing over his hands like sacrificial blood. He took a segment and chewed it thoughtfully as he pondered her request. "And what form would this boon take?" "Lord Zeus has insulted me." Lord Hades took another bite from the fruit, crunching the bittersweet seeds. "How has he insulted you?" "By saying that the sprawling chaos of the great forest is more beautiful to his eye than all the golden order of my wheat fields. All the blossom and burgeoning fruits of my orchards are but naught compared with one single leaf from that forest, which I might add may never have grown at all if not for my prompting. For this affront I desire the services of the Erinyes, the dark sisters of deepest Tartarus, to assuage my thirst for retribution." At this request even the Dark Lord was stunned. The half-eaten fruit fell from his hand, scattering its ruby seeds upon the marble floor. He sat back upon his throne and laughed. "You wish to unleash the furies upon the world of men? For what purpose? To destroy a forest? My lady, are you mad?" With a great cry of rage that shook the very foundations of the earth, Demeter seemed to fill the chamber with her passion. Her eyes burned with such hatred that even Hades, mighty god that he was, cowered before her. "Do not question my wrath, my lord. I, who could bring plagues and starvation upon the world of men and fill the underworld to bursting. Never forget that I have not yet forgiven you for the abduction of my daughter, so do as I request, or you shall be the one that bears the brunt of my aggression." Hades fumbled with shaking fingers within the folds of his robe and pulled out a large stone key. He tossed it towards the ferocious goddess. This is the key to the gates of Tartarus. Take it and unleash the furies. Do with them what you will." Without another word, Demeter turned and left the hall of Hades, leaving the fearful god in her wake. When Demeter returned to the world above, with the furies in her train, she came as a great summer storm, darkening the world above. all mankind trembled before the dying of the light. That's all you're getting, I'm afraid. If you want to find out what happens in the rest of the story, you're going to have to buy the book. As I said, links in the description below. Thank you for watching, and keep reading.